Today we're talking about Rihanna's recent billionaire-funded performance, a Dairy Queen manager forced their staff to eat ice cream tainted with cleaning chemicals, and Oregon is backtracking on their short-lived decriminalization of drugs. All in today's Power Really Likes Flexing on Us Pores episode of... But before we start, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an update. And Alice, let's do the celebrity story first.
In a recent spectacle of opulence and star power, Rihanna graced the stage with a performance at the wedding celebration of India's richest man, Mukesh Ambani's son. For her appearance, Rihanna received a remarkable $6 million. This performance was part of a grand 3-day wedding event, which cost over $130 million and featured a guest list of global magnates from the realms of technology, entertainment, and politics.
Alright, so Rihanna, beloved queen and icon, just wrapped up a gig at an Indian billionaire's wedding, bagging a sweet $6 million for her troubles. Now this isn't just any billionaire, we're talking about Mukesh Ambani, a man whose wealth towers over the realms of mere mortals, largely thanks to his empire in the oil industry. Yes, the very same industry that's been keeping our gas prices sky high, which in turn is making everything else more expensive, so you know. Food for thought. In a way, it's like our painful trips to the gas station have indirectly sponsored Rihanna's serenade to an ultra-luxe wedding. Cool. Let's set the scene. Imagine a $130 million wedding extravaganza that makes every fairy tale wedding pale in comparisons. This is where Rihanna steps in, not just as a performer, but as a symbol of how far-reaching the tendrils of wealth can be. Now, the Ambani wedding wasn't just a display of India's economic prowess, it was a global event that attracted tech moguls, entertainment giants, and even political powerhouses. Names like Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and Robert Iger graced the occasion, turning it into a veritable who's who of global elitism. As we chuckle about the sheer opulence of it all, it's worth pausing to consider the source of this wealth. Mukesh Ambani's empire, Reliance Industries, is heavily rooted in the oil sector. With oil prices soaring, every time we grumble about the cost at the pump, there's a direct line to the pockets that funded Rihanna's performance. Some food for thought about the interconnectedness of global wealth, energy consumption, and entertainment. We're basically everybody else's bitch without knowing it. So how do we reconcile the admiration for artistic talent and spectacles with the sources of wealth that make them possible? The wedding and Rihanna's performance as a centerpiece serve as a microcosm of the broader issue. Let's take a moment to zoom in a bit more on this particularly intriguing aspect of the celebrity world. You know, the intricate dance between high-profile performance and their often opaque funding sources. Rihanna's recent $6 million performance at the Indian billionaire's wedding is a perfect case study. The funding of the lavish event comes from a sector that's no stranger to controversy, especially in today's climate-conscious world. So the scenario begs the question, what responsibilities do celebrities like Rihanna have when their paychecks are signed by moguls from industries mired in ethical debates? On the one hand, artists are free agents in the market, offering their talents to the highest bidder. Cool. Make your bag. It's the very essence of the entertainment industry. No? Talent for hire, bringing joy, excitement, and a touch of glamour to every event willing to pay the price. But when the source of the wealth stems from industries involved in practices that raise concerns, the water gets murky. Consider the oil industry, pivotal to the global economy, yet also a central player in the environmental crisis facing our planet. Every time we fill up our tanks, a sliver of that transaction feeds into the coffers that can afford a global superstar to private events. The connection places a spotlight on the celebrities who, willing or not, became part of the narrative. The question isn't about the morality of accepting the gigs, but about the broader implications of the choice. Do these performances endorse the funding sources, or are they simply business transactions devoid of political and ethical endorsement? Because, I mean, shocker, shocker, celebrities with their vast platforms and influence wield, you know, a little bit of power in the world. Their choices can signal approval or conversely draw attention to issues that might otherwise fly under the radar. This isn't to single out Rihanna or any other artist who performed in similar circumstances. Beyonce performed for The Daughter in 2018 too. But to highlight a nuanced responsibility that comes with celebrity influence.
In a concerning incident at a Dairy Queen in Campton, Kentucky, employees alleged they were forced by a manager to consume ice cream mixed with cleaning solution, leading to several employees to quit and some being taken to the emergency room.
So, a rocky situation has apparently unfolded at a Dairy Queen in Campton, Kentucky. 8 employees were allegedly summoned to a mandatory staff meeting by a manager on February 23rd and force-fed ice cream laced with cleaning solution. Angela Patton, mother of one of the victimized teenage employees, shared the disturbing allegations with the local news station. As she tells it, staff were strong-armed into eating the tainted treat. Sadly, several sickened staff members required emergency medical attention. The rest, including Patton's daughter, have understandably quit over the labor violation. Hopefully they scored some extra severance in their final paycheck. While no criminal charges have been filed yet, those involved remain under investigation by local authorities, and rightfully so, parents are starting to lawyer up. Meanwhile, the shaken franchise owners have sacked the manager involved. Steve Cottle quickly clarified that customer and employee safety remains the company's #1 priority despite this distasteful development. Which, it always is, right? You know, it always amazes me the types of people that manage to find themselves in positions of power. Got any work-life horror stories you'd like to share with the class? Let us know in the comments.
In a significant shift, Oregon is moving to end its unique approach to drug decriminalization, responding to widespread concerns over increased drug use and public safety.
Okay, so Oregon's groundbreaking decision in 2020 to decriminalize the possession of small amounts of drugs was meant to take a public health approach to substance abuse rather than a punitive one. However, just 3 short years into the experiment, Oregon has now voted to make possession of drugs like heroin and cocaine misdemeanors again. Now, personally, I feel this abrupt about-face lacks compassion for those struggling with addiction and fails to address the root causes fueling the drug epidemic. Rather than immediately recriminalizing drug possession, Oregon should have first focused their efforts on expanding access to addiction treatment programs and other services for those in need. Though the new ballot measure approved fundings for such programs, 3 years is nowhere near enough time to fully establish the necessary infrastructure. We've got to ask ourselves, have we as a society adequately tried to help those battling substance abuse issues before locking them up? Additionally, more should have been done to curb the supply of dangerous synthetic opioids like fentanyl flooding in the communities. Recriminalizing drug possession does little to dismantle international drug cartels and traffickers exploiting people's addiction for profits. We can't simply arrest our way out of an epidemic. Though their public drug use has risen since decriminalization, a punitive approach fails to address the underlying traumas and lack of opportunities driving many down the path to begin with. If we really and truly want to help people to reclaim their lives and dignity, criminal penalties should be the absolute last resort. Oregon's willingness to reverse so early on this bold experiment is disapproving and counterproductive. We can and should do better for our people. And on that piece of our leaders care more about our votes than our well-being news, I'm gonna call it. Don't forget to hit that like button if you like what you saw, and I will catch you next time. Bye.